Most people knew him as the perfect dad on TV. Calm, wise, kind, and always ready with the right words. But behind that familiar face was a man with a story full of unexpected twists, quiet struggles, and a life that went far beyond the camera. Hugh Bowmont wasn't just an actor. He was a preacher, a jazz drummer, a writer, and a man who traded Hollywood lights for Christmas trees. His story isn't what you think, and once you hear it, you'll see the man behind the perfect image, in a completely different way. Hugh Bowmont was born Eugene Hugh Bowmont on February 16, 1909, in Eudora, Kansas. He grew up in a simple Midwestern home where values like honesty, discipline, and faith weren't just taught, they were lived. That kind of upbringing left a mark on him. Even when life took him far from Kansas, those early lessons never faded. They shaped his decisions, his beliefs, and even the way he played roles on screen. But acting wasn't his first calling. Before he ever set foot on a stage, Bowmont was studying theology. He attended the University of Chattanooga and later transferred to the University of Southern California, where he earned a Master of Theology degree. While many around him chased fame, Bowmont followed a higher calling. He became a licensed Methodist minister and continued preaching even during his acting career. Whenever he wasn't on set, you could find him filling in at pulpits across Southern California. That sense of purpose followed him into the world of acting. In the 1940s, he began working in low-budget films. He wasn't the flashy type. He didn't play the bad boy or the heartthrob. Instead, he brought a steady presence to the screen. His tall frame, calm voice, and quiet confidence made him a natural fit for serious roles. In noir films, he played detectives like Michael Shayne, a character that let him show off both his toughness and his moral center. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room, but he was believable, reliable, honest. And in a business that thrived on make-believe, Hugh Bowmont brought a sense of truth. Television was just beginning to take off when Bowmont made the leap to the small screen. And in 1957, he landed the role that would define his career. As Ward Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver, Bowmont became the face of American fatherhood. He wasn't a strict disciplinarian or a distant authority figure. He was warm, wise, and always present. He listened, he taught, and he understood. The show followed the daily life of the Cleaver family and struck a chord with audiences across the country. Bowmont's chemistry with Barbara Billingsley, who played June Cleaver, made their TV marriage one of the most iconic in history, and his scenes with Jerry Mathers and Tony Dow, playing Beaver and Wally, felt like real family moments. For many people, Ward Cleaver wasn't just a character. He was the father they wished they had. But while the show was all smiles on screen, real life behind the scenes was more complicated. Bowmont was a true professional. He cared deeply about the people he worked with, especially the child actors. He helped them with their lines, made sure they were comfortable, and encouraged them to keep up with their schoolwork. He took the role of father figure seriously, even off-screen. Still, not every relationship on set was easy. One of the most surprising parts of Bowmont's story is his complicated relationship with Tony Dow, who played his TV son, Wally. Although the show portrayed a close bond between father and son, things were very different when the cameras weren't rolling. Bowmont came from a world of structure, discipline, and respect. He had studied theology, valued order, and took his job seriously. Dow, on the other hand, was just 12 years old when he joined the cast. He had no acting experience, lots of energy, and a style that didn't always sit well with Bowmont. Bowmont saw Dow's mistakes and restlessness as a lack of discipline. He reportedly grew frustrated with Dow's flubs and distractions. While others saw Dow as a bright young actor growing into his role, Bowmont saw him as careless. Their personalities clashed. Bowmont even felt that Dow was too casual, too modern, too unpolished for the kind of show they were trying to make. The tension between them didn't explode publicly, but it was real. People close to the production noticed Beaumont's coldness during rehearsals. Some even said he quietly tried to get Dow replaced, though it never happened. By the time the show ended in 1963, Beaumont seemed relieved to walk away, not just from the character, but from the difficult relationships that came with it. And while Dow later spoke warmly about his time on the show, Beaumont rarely mentioned him in interviews. When he did, the warmth was gone. After Leave It to Beaver, Beaumont didn't chase the spotlight. He appeared on a few shows like Petticoat Junction and The Virginian and worked behind the scenes as a writer and director. But he was already beginning to step away from Hollywood. He wanted something quieter, something real. He bought a farm in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and started growing Christmas trees. It might sound like an odd choice for a TV star, but for Beaumont, it made perfect sense. He traded scripts for soil, bright lights for quiet mornings, and the fast pace of the industry for the rhythm of nature. Even while stepping away from acting, Beaumont stayed creative. He wrote television scripts, radio dramas, and short stories for popular magazines. His writing showed a deep understanding of character and storytelling, skills he had developed on screen and brought to the page. He wasn't just performing stories anymore, he was shaping them. And while his name wasn't always in the spotlight, his influence was still felt. At home, Beaumont's personal life had its own ups and downs. He married actress Catherine Adams Nahon in 1941. Their wedding took place in a church, fitting for a man of faith. They stayed married for 33 years and raised 3 children together, Hunter, Mark, and Christy. Unlike many Hollywood marriages, theirs lasted for decades, though they eventually divorced in 1974. Their eldest son, Hunter, took a completely different path from his father. He became a psychotherapist and author, spending time abroad and working in mental health. When Hunter passed away in 2023, it marked another chapter in the Bowmont family's long and varied story. Bowmont himself faced serious health challenges in his later years. In 1970, a stroke forced him to slow down. He retired from acting 2 years later and mostly stayed out of the public eye. But in 1980, he made one final appearance during a Leave It to Beaver reunion, giving fans a chance to remember the role he had played in their lives. Just 2 years later, on May 14, 1982, Beaumont died of a heart attack while visiting his son Hunter in Munich, West Germany. He was 72. Beyond acting and writing, Beaumont was a man with passions that few people knew about. He remained a licensed minister his entire life, performing weddings, leading funeral services, and offering spiritual guidance. He didn't do it for money or attention. He did it because he believed it mattered. Music was another love. Before he became famous, Beaumont was a jazz drummer. And even after fame found him, he kept playing. Whether it was a local jam session or just playing at home, music gave him something acting never could, a direct connection to joy. And then there was nature. Fishing, camping, hiking, these weren't just hobbies for Beaumont. They were how he recharged, how he found peace. Hollywood could be loud, messy, and overwhelming. Nature was the opposite. It was quiet, steady, and real. Just like the man himself. People often think they know a celebrity because of the role they played. But Hugh Bowmont was more than just Ward Cleaver. He was a minister, a musician, a writer, a father, and a man of principle. He stood for something, even when it made life harder. He didn't chase fame, and he didn't need the spotlight to feel whole. What he wanted was a life with meaning, a life where faith, family, and personal values came first. And maybe that's what made him so good at playing the perfect dad on TV, because he wasn't pretending. He brought real beliefs, real experiences, and real emotions to every scene. Sure, he had flaws, he held grudges, he struggled with the pressures of fame. But through it all, he stayed true to himself. If you grew up watching him, you probably thought you knew him. But now you know the full story. The real Hugh Bowmont. A man who lived with purpose, walked his own path, and left behind more than just reruns. He left behind a legacy that was honest, grounded, and deeply human. If this story gave you a new perspective on a familiar face, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.